Looks like I've got some formatting going on there too, which is cool.
This is still budgeted.
These are still expenses, yes?
Okay.
And we know that because if we do,
under the expense column.
right, that, and if we look at this, I've got a budgeted amount, an actual amount, I spent more, I'm getting a negative number, as I should. Okay?
This may seem stupid, but I've never done a budget before. So the actual amount is something that you would fill out at the end of the month when you actually know what you. I mean, this is like end of the month kind of thing, not planning ahead, right?
It's not necessarily end of the month. It could be whenever the bill comes in and you pay it, you come in here and do this. Yes.
Budget is what you expect. Actual is what it actually is.
Budget is what you think it's going to be. Actual is what it actually is.
Okay.
The difference. And so ultimately, when we get really good at this, what should my difference be?
Zero.
Zero. But for some things, like electricity, it's constantly fluctuating, like natural gas, like water and sewer. It's
You have to
constantly fluctuating.
right. Go off the bill to build an actual.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when I started mine, what I did is I contacted the electric company, and I said, how much did I spend in January last year? And I put that in as my budgeted amount.
Right.
How much did I spend in February? How much did I spend in March? How much did I spend in August?
An actual is when you actually found out what it really was.
Right.
And then you
When I paid the bill.
Okay. Okay. Post money. Okay. I thought this was like planning out.
So we have to keep the same in the budgeted part and just let it out.
And then just came up here and shows it.
Oh.
Now, if you have rows with zero and you're not paying that, right click, go into it. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So I got to the point where I had everything.
Okay. Yeah.
First of all, yeah, come on here and apply it.
We have folds, and come down here, I'm using to do the formulas for here, formulas for here. Here's what's good.
All the questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good, we're looking good. See what's Holly got. Total stuff. Are you doing all right, Holly? Everybody doing okay? Okay. So this one is going to produce what? Positive or negative? You budgeted 50, you only spent 5. Okay, and figure out your formula to make sure that one comes out.
Are you recommending or are you leveling?
Good. You got to put that. Just make it. Because you're going to really confuse yourself. Yeah, right now, get numbers in, get Excel, figure it out.
I'm trying to apply the time.
Good. Yeah, you need to do what you've done for the rest of them. You get into the cell. No. What are you trying to type in? Now, if you want to, Jack, watch this. To make it easier to understand, I'm going to copy this, right? So I left-click, hold all these, right-click, copy. Come on now. Copy, okay? And I'm going to paste it in each one of these, okay? Right here, I mean. Right-click, paste. Watch what happens, though, when I paste. What's it going to paste? Anybody got an idea? It's going to paste green. Why did it paste green?
Well, you did it in the wrong place.
Because I copied it. I told it to copy everything in here. But watch. If I highlight here, right-click, and paste, you see how I have different paste options? Okay, this is going to paste my formatting and my values. This is going to paste just my values. This is going to paste the formulas. There are no formulas. This is text, right? So if I paste just the values, it keeps the color and pastes just the words.
I have a question.
Yep.
What's convenience foods? Going from the gas station?
What's convenience foods? That's coffee. That's gas station. That's your burrito in the morning on the way here. Those are convenience foods. Okay? On my budget, I actually call them what they are. Get fat foods. Although I still spend money there.
Is this a monthly thing? Comfort foods.
Comfort foods. This is a monthly thing. So far, we're just doing the month.
I'm just confused because the transportation row is a merged cell. I can't figure out.
The transfer, you don't. Are you wanting to put budgeted actual there?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what you do. It is a merge cell. So you see up here?
Yeah.
Unmerge it.
Okay.
Now I could go paste in these three cells, paste the value of above.
There we go.
Do you have to?
You don't have to. Nope. Jack just wants to see this so as he scrolls down he can see what's going on there. Okay? So there's a couple more things we want to do. Remember I said, is it going to be easy to see where there's good numbers and where there's bad numbers? Look at just the first, look at the housing expenses. Okay? Look at the housing expenses. Is there good and bad there? Which number do I really want to focus on? What do you think?
The negative side.
I want to focus on the negatives because those are the ones that are really killing me. But I also want to know what the positives are, right? Because the positives will let me know if this month, if I ended up with more money at the end of the month, of course, after paying my investments, you don't see investments in here, do you? But after paying my investments or investing, if I have more money, maybe I go buy a video game, do something else, okay? So what we want to do is we want to apply a thing called conditional formatting, okay? And the reason we want to do this is, remember we said in Excel, we want to somehow highlight the good, highlight the bad, and maybe highlight the zeros. Does that make sense? So here's what we're going to do. Bless you. I want you to come into cell D4. And then I'm going to ask the class a trick question. It's not really a trick question. Is this good or bad? It's bad. Thank you, one class person. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to click on the cell and we're going to apply conditional formatting to this cell. Okay? We're going to come up here and do conditional formatting. So let's look at conditional formatting and what we can do with it. We can highlight cells that are greater than something, whatever it is, less than something, between one number and another, highlight it another way. If there's text in there, highlight text that contains XYZ. If a date occurs, if there's duplicate values, we can do things like top. So if we have a whole bunch of people that competed in a competition and we want to find the top 10, we might highlight first, second, third, fourth, fifth place. You get where this is going? We can actually create little graphs within this that show the value. We're going to go up and just do a highlight cell rules. Okay. However, what we're going to do is we're going to click on there and pick New Rule. So I need you to get to this screen here. New Rule. Okay? Now, notice our options here for the rule. Format all cells based on their values? No. Format only cells that contain? Click on that. I'll just let you know this is the one we're going to use. So we're going to click on Format cells that only contain. And now we're going to create a rule and what happens when that rule is true. Okay, remember our Boolean logic? Rules can only be true or false. That's it. Okay? Here's a rule for the state of Oregon. Do you need to have a driver's license to drive a car? True. Okay? Just saying. Here we go. So cell value. Now I'm going to create 3 rules. I am going to create one rule if the number is greater than 0, which means a positive. I'm going to create another rule if it's equal to 0, and another rule if it's less than 0. Okay? If it's less than 0, even by a quarter, I paid a quarter more, I want to see that. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Just follow up here, and then you can do it. So let me get us back where we were. We're going to click on cell D4. We're going to do conditional formatting, new rule, format only cells that contain, and now we're going to come down and define the rule. Based on the cell value, that is what? Let's start with the good. What was that?
Greater than?
Thank you. That is greater than what?
0.
Greater than 0. I'm going to format all the cells that are greater than 0. So I'm clicking on Format. I'm not going to format the font. I'm not going to format the border. I'm going to format the fill, so the cell color, the color behind my value. What's a good color for behind my value?
Gradient turquoise.
How about green? Green is good. We'll use the stop sign. Green is good. Yellow is caution. Right? Red is bad. Especially if you go through when it's red. Just saying. I'm going to pick the standard green, and I'm going to say OK. And now, by the way, I'm going to say OK, just so we can see. Did it turn green? Should it have turned green? No. I'm going to come back into conditional formatting. This time, though, I'm going to choose Manage Rules, because I have a rule there. For everything we want to do, we need to apply a rule. It's going to check this rule first, and this rule doesn't apply. We're going to do new rule. Format only cells that contain. What's this rule going to be?
Less than.
Okay. Let's do the middle rule first.
Equal to.
Thank you. Equal to. You weren't incorrect with your answer, by the way. Equal to, if it's equal to what? 0. We're going to go ahead and format that in a fill color that is yellow and say OK. We'll say OK again. Now we're going to do another rule while we're here. Notice we didn't have to come back into the rule. We're going to do a new rule. Give me the last rule. Less than 0. How do you think we want to format that? In red. Now we say OK. Now we say OK. And it formats in red. Is that what we wanted? Yes. Now, do you all want to have to do that again 15 times in the spreadsheet? Probably not. Now that this is part of the formula, so now we have both our formula and we have some functionality that's going to happen. This rule is going to happen. We're going to just refill down. Now when we refill down, it gets rid of our total here. You see how it got rid of our total? So we can just reapply our total cell style. How did I get it to fill? I clicked on the first one, came to the lower right-hand corner, left click held, and drug. Yeah, it did. See it did?
Okay.
Yeah. Because the total style is not part of what I filled it down to be. Are all my numbers correct? Am I getting the right formatting for these?
Okay, wait. So you say that the total changes on the last one.
What do you mean the total? The total cell style changed, yeah. Just the cell style, just the two bottom borders. Because it wasn't part of what I copied down. Okay, folks. Let's take 5 minutes. If you need a break, whatever the case may be, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. We'll take 5 minutes. We'll come back and continue. So if you're having trouble, ask me so we can get you caught up in this 5 minutes. So now that we have a master budget sheet, do I need to redo this again for my first month? No. What I need to do is simply copy the master budget sheet. Okay? Couple ways to do that. The long way to do that is to right-click on the sheet tab called Master Budget, and what do I want to choose? Move or copy. The sheet's highlighted and I click Create a Copy. Say OK. And I get a copy of the sheet. The sheet name, then watch up here. Everybody look up here. It put the copy in front of my master. I want to put the copy behind my master. I left click on the sheet tab and drag it, see the little arrow where it says it's going to put it, and let go. Now, I want this to be what month?
January, November.
We're going to call it November. So I'm going to right click and rename the sheet to November 2017. Now there's an easier way to copy. Oh, the name yearly annual budgeted already exists. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to end up with an issue here. Yearly amount budgeted already exists. Click here to use that version of the name. Click No to rename the version of, okay. So if when we copy, let me cancel that. It's not going to let me out of there. Okay, I'll do this again real quick, but I'm just going to put something in right now. Okay, so watch carefully. Watch up here so that you don't get this issue. Okay? When I copy this sheet, there's a name in this sheet that's causing me an issue because the sheet was named. So here's what I need to do. Whatever sheet I click on, I hit the control key, hold it while I left click and drag. Notice how it changed my cursor. Do you see my cursor with the positive? I hit OK and I get this. The name yearly amount budgeted already exists. Click yes to use this version of the name. Click no to rename it. I want you to click no, and then right now just type stuff in. Pass the class. Say OK, and we get a sheet. Yes. What? No. Oh, it starts with a. Come on. Oh, okay. It wants just letters. There we go.
How many would you like?
Well, here's what I want to do. What's the...
You said the first way was the hard way, but I found it to be not hard.
Then that's fine.
So what's the next way? Oh, okay.
Yeah, do it whatever way you want, as long as you get multiple sheets. What do I want to name my second sheet? December 2017. Okay. And what about my next sheet? Anybody want to? Thank you. Okay. January 2018.
Every time I try to like do a new it's like putting it in like whatever.
I know you say okay.
Oh my gosh, it was not working.
Because if you include any special characters, it doesn't like it. So if you read the error message, it says you've got a special character in there. I'm only going to accept letters. And I got to change that in this sheet. So now we have 3 sheets. Yeah, just type letters only. Okay, so Holly, the easiest way to copy, right-click on the sheet you want to copy, say Move or Copy. Pick the sheet you want to copy, say Create a Copy. Say OK. I get a copy of that sheet. When you get this error, click Yes to use this version. You want to click No, and type in just some basic letters. Don't care what it is. Okay? Say OK, and we get a sheet. There you go. I'm going to delete this sheet. I don't need it. Does everybody have a November, a December, and a January sheet? Okay. Now, because it's late in the year, this is a little bit more difficult to do. However, I'm trying to think how I want to do this. If we were doing a budget for the whole year, starting in January, ending in December, what is an additional sheet we would want? What would that additional sheet represent?
Like an end of the year summary?
End of the year summary, right? An end of the year summary. A page that I can look at anywhere when I'm within the year, and it would tell me how much I've spent so far this year. Does that make sense? And as I add more for the next sheet and the next sheet and the next sheet, at the end of the year I look at that and it's going to tell me how much I spent for my cell phone for the entire year, right? Remember my example where we went in to buy the used car and all the used car salesman wanted to know was what? How much you can afford. And what we determined Monday, was not just how much we could afford, but how much we actually paid, right? So with that loan calculator, now you walk out of the dealership knowing exactly what that car is going to cost you, right? So it's the same thing here. We might look at this and say, well, yeah, my cell phone is $100 a month. And that's a good deal, right? You're like, no problem, I can pay that. But then you go look at the yearly total. And your cell phone was 100, and then you went over with data, and this month it was 125, and this month it was this. And pretty soon you've spent $2,000 a year on a cell phone. Are you now okay with that? Probably not. Hopefully not. So now you go, okay, well, here's some place I need to cut my costs. Let me go shopping for a new cell phone provider, right, who might give me more data or figure out whatever the case may be. Okay? You might look at your electricity bill and go, wow, I'm spending way too much. How can I cut this cost? Okay? So we're going to want to add a totals. Okay? Now, to make this easier on us, I think what we'll do is we'll make this really easy, and we'll turn January into a total. So I'm going to just simply right-click and rename January, okay, and call this 2017 year-end totals. 2017 year-end totals.
Should we not have spaces between our words and the numbers?
Up to you. So here's the thing. We have copied these sheets. If I make a change in November, so now notice I'm on my November sheet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and change this master budget title to November 2017 so that I know I'm on the November 2017 sheet. I'm going to go over to December, and I'm going to call this sheet December 2017. And I'm going to go over to my yearly totals, and I'm going to call this my 2017 year-end totals. So this way I know what sheet I'm on. Now here's the thing, folks. This is taking a while for us to do because we're learning some outcomes as we go. Okay? However, when you become proficient at all of what we're about to do, you can literally create a new budget for someone in minutes. Or a new budget for you. Realize that if you want to, you can use this Excel spreadsheet only for 2017, right-click the file, copy it, create a new one called 2018, change all the numbers, and have a new budget for the year. Right? So here's what I want to ask you. We created the November sheet based on which sheet? The master budget sheet. We did the same thing with December and the same thing with total. So right now, all the numbers are the same. If on our first month, right out of the gate, my natural gas company takes a rate increase, and I need to change the budget amount for November. Do I want to have to go in and do that and change it for December?
You can just change the number. It's supposed to add the number.
Right, I could just change the number, but listen to what I'm asking here. Let's say we started this in January, and in February they took the increase. Now I got to manually go in and change the budgeted amount for February, for March, for April, for May, for June, for July. Because are these sheets linked together? Yes or no?
I would think. No,
they're not. But if we link them together, then if I make a change in January, it'll change February, March, April, May, right? If I make a change in June, what is it going to change? Only June, July, August. I don't want to change the previous ones because they don't need to change.
So it'll automatically just change the future sheets.
When we do what we're about to do. Okay? Now this is a little cumbersome. But if we do this once, do we ever have to do it again? No. Question? Okay. So here's what I want to do. We're actually going to take and reference November back to the master budget sheet. Here's why. Because if we did want to make a change that affects all the sheets, if we change it on the master, is it going to affect all the sheets? Yes. So here's what we have to do. Now, a lot of times in doing a spreadsheet, we want to take a number from somewhere on that sheet and reference it someplace else. Okay? But a lot of times what we want to do is I want to take values from November. Let me give you an example of this. Do we want the values from November to be referenced on the yearly total sheets?
Yes.
Yes. Do I want the values from November and December to be referenced on the yearly total sheet? Yes. The yearly total is sort of unique, right? Because we want it, the yearly total wants to add up whatever value is in that cell from November and December. If we were doing this for an entire year, we'd want it to add up that value for January and February, March, April, May, right? However, watch carefully because it's not as hard as it sounds. What we want to do is I want cell B4, which is my Central Oregon budgeted income. Okay, I want this value to reference what value from what cell from my master budget sheet. B4 from what sheet? Okay, so watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to say equals. Okay, I'm going to click on the master budget sheet. Notice you got to be careful. Am I on the master budget sheet? How do you know? How else? It says the master budget sheet. Which cell was it I wanted to reference? I'm going to click on B4. Now what this is telling me, once I click on B4, hit the Enter key. What did it take me back to? November. If I click on, I'm going to show you that this works here in a minute. If I click back on B4, B4 is referencing what cell? B4,
Master budget.
it references B4 from the master budget sheet.
Is there any visual indicator of that, or did it?
Yeah, right here. It says this cell equals. So if I go into master budget sheet, okay, and I change this value from 2,500 to 2,499, what should happen on the November sheet? It should change. Let's see. It changed here on the master budget sheet. Did it change on the November sheet? Yes. Now, you ready for the power of iteration? We got to be careful here. I suggest watching up here, because if you do this wrong, you're going to mess up your spreadsheet. What do you think it's going to do when I copy down? First of all, do I want to copy down through the totals? No, because I want the totals to be the totals for this month. I don't care what the total on my master budget sheet is. I don't care when I do this for December that it's referencing January, right? Or November. So watch carefully. I'm going to click down. This cell now, cell B5, references what cell? The master budget sheet of B5. Now I suggest you again stop, watch up here. I'm going to highlight both of these. I'm going to fill over. And as I fill over, can someone tell me what cell C4 on my November sheet is going to reference? C4 of the master budget sheet. I click there, I come in here, I click it, it says it's going to reference C4 from the master budget sheet. This one is going to reference C5 from the master budget sheet. Does this make sense? I want you all to do that for all of the individual budgeted expenses and actuals. Am I going to do this for the differences? No, because the differences, I want to know the difference for this month, not the difference for last month, right?
The actuals would be different too, wouldn't they? If I were to copy the actuals from the last year.
Well, are the actuals going to be different?
Yeah. Every month.
Okay. So do I want to do the actual?
Not from the master, right?
Do I want to do the actual from any of the sheets?
Oh, yeah.
Not that.
Well, you need for the year-end thing. Mine does not want
Not exactly. Jack's bringing up a good point. Yes.
When you drag over, so I did the first two, and then you want to drag over to all four, it just will not go over.
Well, first of all,
That's master.
that's master, so we fill down. Okay.
Because they are both
Master, master. Okay. So what we have to do is left click both of these. Now we
So
can
it gets
fill
both
over.
columns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you tell
We still need to answer the question. Do we want to fill the actual from the previous sheet?
No.
That's okay.
That's the answer.
Yes.
That's fine. I understand.
Just hold around.
You're losing.
Folks, we need to answer this question. This is the critical thinking. Do I want to include the actual from the previous sheet? I'm hearing no. I'm not hearing why not, though. Because the actual is going to change every month. Is the budgeted amount going to change every month? No, but if I change the budgeted amount, I want it to move over. Okay? So here's the thing. If you've only done this once, delete those, fill back in some manual numbers. What do I want? 2,400, 400. So all I want to forward is the budgeted amount.
I gotta write them down.
But now when we do the totals, we're going to see we're actually going to want to do this for everything.
Did you just manually put in your total for your actual as well?
Yeah.
Will you get delete? Or
Yeah, just hit delete if you moved them over. If you did it down below, just delete these, put in new numbers.
Was it 600 before? Not 400.
Was it 600?
Because you got all these.
Okay. There's 600. Yeah, and there's mine.
Whenever you were taking the different cells
Yep.
and matching them up with master budget sheet,
Right?
this is what I got, and you want to switch it over.
Because that formula will not work. Try it again. Click out of it. Click back in. Hit the equal sign. Click over to the master budget sheet. Click on that cell and take enter. Okay, so here's the thing. For the budgeted amounts, I want November to reference the master sheet. What do I want December to reference? No, not the master sheet. I want it to reference November. Because if I make a change in November, do I want it changed in December? Yes. So watch carefully. If you want me, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come down here. I'm in November. I hit equal sign. I'm in B10. I want it to reference B10 of the master sheet. I hit the enter key. Notice I'm back on November. I got to make sure I'm on the right sheet. All I then need to do is fill this down. Not through the totals, but fill it down. I come here. That's fine. We can change the cell styles later. Hit the equal key for transportation. That's going to equal the transportation of master budget. Fill it down. Come in here, hit the equal key, reference master budget for convenience foods, fill it down. Now I'm going to come over to December, and I'm going to change the budgeted amounts for December. what is the budgeted amount on the December sheet? What is it I want it to reference?
You want to reference November.
Oh, yeah.
November, right? Not the master sheet.
Yeah,
Because if I continue to reference the master sheet and I go in and change the master, it's going to change everything. I only want it to change for that month that I make the budgeted change through the future months.
So you do the same thing, equal, but you go to November.
Equals November.
The same thing, and enter.
Before enter, I'm in December. I fill down through my income. I come to expense. Equals November. Find the November sheet. Make sure I'm on the right cell in the November sheet and fill down. Now, as I do this, I'm going to click on this bottom one in garbage, and the garbage references November 2017 B15. Now I've completed an audit. So I know it's probably correct for the rest of them, right? Come down here, do the equal sign. November. Fill it down. December, over to November for transportation, and fill it down. Now, Jack, you're absolutely right. I don't want to reference the actual here because the actual will give me the difference for each expense or each income every month. Okay?
Well, that makes sense now.
Now, once we get here, we need to think about the yearly totals, though. So this yearly total, in our case, just 2 months. Let's look at the yearly total. What should the yearly total for my budgeted Central Oregon Community College equal?
Oh.
Okay, that sounds good. Can you be more specific?
For the budget year end, so the total sum of each one added together.
The total sum of each month added together, not the total sum. Okay, and the reason I'm saying that is because these are sort of totals. So if you were to do a formula here.
Just the sum of budgeted for your first income each month.
Perfect.
Can we do equal and then the previous pages?
Okay, so here's the cool thing. Watch up here. Do we agree this is going to equal B4 of which set of which sheet?
November.
November. Cell B4. What else? Plus
December.
B4 of December.
Equal.
Not equals, just enter. Notice the equals in front?
Yeah.
So now we equal. Is that the correct value? Yes, it is.
So on the year totals, we hit equals, and then we go back into December, and we click on total.
Right. So I'll do another one again. Okay? So now I'm going to do my volunteer work, my budgeted volunteer work. Equals November B5 plus,
Oh, then you just hit the
click on December, yep,
Oh, okay.
B5, and then the enter key.
All right.
I turned all of it.
Okay.
We'll fix it. No worries.
Okay, I was like, 7,
Okay, now it just says true.
and then can't we just
What do you mean it just says true?
I came up with a true also.
Then the formula is incorrect.
Yay.
Let's look at my formula and see what differs from your formula. There's my formula. It equals November 2017 sheet, that's the exclamation point, B5.
I got it.
Okay. What was it?
The equal error.
Right, but what was the error? Jack, did you find the error?
Oh, yeah, I hit equals instead of plus.
Aha.
There you go.
The reason you got that is now you've created a Boolean formula that says, does this one equal this one? And it said true.
That's okay.
It's the same
On the total sheet, do we now want the totals for all of the actuals as well? So all I'm going to do on the total sheet is fill over. What bottom one?
Did you grab the top and go down?
So, look, I did this one and then I did the second one as a demo.
All right, so you grabbed the bottom quarter of 1,000.
Well, if I look at my volunteer work budgeted, my volunteer work budgeted for November is 500, December it's 500, my year-end result is 1,000. Then if I come over here, notice I had 600 in the actual, 600 in the actual. If I do the math, that's 1,200. I'm 200 ahead. So yes, I did. So do you see how all I have to do is a couple of these cells, and then I can fill down, and then I can fill across, and because what was that thing? What did I call it? What does it do? Iterates. It changes the numbers saying, you don't want that formula, you want the formula for these values, either in this row, in this column, in this cell. Okay? So here's the thing. I'm going to come do that again for transportation. I'm on my totals. I come over here. I say this equals November budgeted amount plus December budgeted amount, and then the enter key. And I know these numbers are correct. Now then, I fill down, not including the total, because the total is going to calculate on the numbers above. I highlight this, I move over, and now so far I'm $190 ahead in my housing expenses.
I did it right one time.
Equal sign,
Equal
November, cell, plus, click on the December,
Change the year in total.
that cell, and enter.
You're doing that.
Yep. Now, we're going to use the power of iteration. We've done it. Okay. What's the point you want? What's the point of what you want to end up here? I'm asking you, what do you do? What instead of trying to figure out what he's trying to do. And then what? Copy over. Did I get what I wanted? Yeah, I know it's there. So notice this is equals C4. You know it's C4. You want this. Remember the C4, December the C4. You know that one's correct. You know that one's correct. Continue to go through. So, are you all recognizing? Y'all recognizing the power of iteration? We don't have to go and do each one of these for every single sheet. Is it going to be harder to do a January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November sheet? Not really. I'm going to have to do a couple formulas that are going to be equals, you know, January plus February plus March. That's going to take a little work. I better make sure that's correct, because here's the problem. If that one formula that I'm iterating is not correct, is anything else I'm doing correct? No. Okay? Now, by having this done, I can now go in and watch what happens if I come into December. Let's look at my yearly totals here real quick for volunteer work. I budgeted how much each month? 500. Now what I want to do is I'm not going to change it in November, but in December, maybe I get a little increase, a bonus, whatever. So I'm going to, and I know that to be true, so I'm going to budget 600. Right?
Yep.
What should my total be for budgeted now?
1,100.
1,100. Did it change November?
No.
It shouldn't have, right? It changed December. Now, here's the cool thing, and pay attention to this because there's an opportunity here for you all. Opportunity for the folks at home, too. What am I going to base my January on?
Your yearly?
I'm not going to base it on my yearly. If I base the month on the year, then I just based 1 month on what I did in all of last year.
No, it's in the previous year's month, like January from last year.
Not from January of last year. Because what if I've made changes to things in June and July? Are they going to be referenced on January of last year? Right. So I'm going to copy December cell and make it my what? January cell. And then since I don't have anything else to copy, I'm going to copy the January to create a February to create a March to create a, and then I'm going to have to go into February and do this iteration to reference what month? January. Then I go into the March and I do that. Now, does this sound like a lot of work?
It sounds like that work, but we'll save you again.
It's a lot of work initially, but first of all, I also get a lot of practice.
You don't have to do this like once a month. If you sit down and update it at the end of every month, and get like an app to keep track of your expenses,
Right.
it'd probably be pretty productive.
Well, of course it's a smart thing to do. Now, it's such a smart thing to do that Quicken makes an app that does all this for you, including integrating from the bank, etc. Okay, but maybe we don't have the money for $79 a year of Quicken. Okay?
So Excel is basically the same thing, isn't
It
it?
is.
Okay.
Right. So here's the thing. We're going to continue to use this sheet the next time we meet. Okay? However, if you are willing to do more practice, here's your forced practice. Okay? You're turning this in as is. If you've done this, if you've created a master budget sheet, you've created a November that references the master budget, you've created a December that references November, and you've created a year-end that references November, December, you've done the minimum. If I look through your work, and here's how I'm going to check it, I'm going to do the control mustache and go look at the formulas. And if I see the formulas are referencing the right cells, you're good. You earn points for the lab today. However, because I want to force you to practice, I want to force you all to Tiger Woods this thing, or whoever you happen to like, you know, Denzel or whoever you're, what?
Dan Gable.
Dan Gable?
I don't know who these people are. So,
Most people
Hold on.
Move that.
If you will take this sheet, hold on, if you will take this sheet and create a January through December for 2018 and a totals, you will earn 3 times the amount of points this assignment is worth.
Well, we're going to numbers, just make them up.
You already got numbers, they're right there.
The same old numbers?
Use the same numbers.
you didn't have them.
You want to change the numbers, change the numbers. I don't care.
I want to put my real budget in there.
Put your real budget in there.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's one of my.
Yeah.
I'll
So
put my real
you're
budget
saying
in.
to get these extra points we want, don't submit your assignment today.
I'm saying if you're going to do this, do not submit your assignment today.
When did you say
Typically
this?
Monday, right?
We did it in my son.
I haven't yet.
Have you emailed this to our sellers to ask home?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't. So, send me emailing it to us so we can reach
I don't care.
Do whatever you want.
Folks, we're so past that. email it to yourself, put it on your OneDrive, put it on your thumb drive, handwrite it so that you can redo it at home. I don't know. But here's the deal. Let me reiterate. For the folks at home, which I'll be sending out a communication that you all won't see to the folks online. If by Monday, the due date for the homework for this section, you turn in this spreadsheet, this lab, with an entire 2018 plus a totals for 2018 that references all of those, you will earn 3 times the amount of this assignment. So for those of you that have struggled, that have missed homework assignments, here you are. You get nothing for free. You are earning this. You're going to do the work. You do the work, you earn the points. Does that make sense? Question?
Would it be like you're making the assignments 3 times as large, or we get the original 25%?
Oh my God, just do it.
You get 3 extra.
So let's see what this is worth. I think this is worth, I don't know, 25 points? Yeah, so you're going to get 75 points. Okay? If you want, hold on. I'm going to stop the recording. You all know what you need to do. I'm going to stop the recording and look at the exact points. Okay?
25.
It is? Okay, so it's 25. There you go. Thank you, Jack. It's 25 points. You can earn 75 points for doing this. Now, let me be really clear on this. You are learning. Are you guaranteed 75 points?
No.
No, because if your spreadsheet's completely wrong or you didn't complete it, do you earn the points?
No.
No. You don't show up for work today. Are you getting paid? No. So if you're just going to phone this in, don't. If you do the work, you can earn 75 points. Do I really care about the points?
No.
Not really. I want you to learn this stuff. I want you to have a budget that you could start either now or commit to starting in January. Because once you start budgeting, you're going to figure out where your money goes. And you might find you don't like where you're spending your money. You might decide it's perfectly fine where I'm spending my money. You might add a column to here that says, this is what I'm doing with my money. Now, I'll tell you what I always do. I like to budget. I force myself to save. So I'm okay with seeing a bunch of green in the difference column. Okay? So if the, and I'll explain why, if the garbage company says my bill, which is pretty constant, is $35, I put in 40 as the budgeted amount. So at the end of the month, I suddenly have $5, right? There's a couple reasons why I do this. Number one, do we always seem to have unexpected expenses that we didn't budget for? Tires on the car, oil change. You can see how, you know, oh gee, I got an oil change in January, I drive this many miles in March, I better put in a budget amount for an oil change, right? So my contingency plan is to always have something at the end of the month to pay those bills.